26th of October. Good evening. You're watching the Jungle Gyms podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 20th of October. I'm your host, Gavin, and we're joined by Paddy, McGinty, and Dazza. McGinty, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Good to be back on. Good to get the itch scratched of doing another podcast.
Careful now. What top are you wearing?
This is a Mexican number again. This is Santos Laguna, one of our Mexican brothers who usually wear the green and white hoops as well. But this is their last season's away. Oh, pink number. Just to lighten the mood.
Did we not have a link up with Santos?
I believe we did for a couple of years. Was it during the kind of FM Juarez day, I think, around about then? I'm not sure that's where we got him from or not. But we did have some sort of affiliation, but we never really did much with it, which was a gutter.
Dazza, how you doing, mate?
Not bad. I've had a lot of shite to talk about basically since the last time I've come on. I've had a lot of water has went under the bridge that we've not spoken about, so I'm chomping at the bit.
Very true, mate. And finally, Paddy, mate, what's happening?
Not much, mate. Just been itching to get back on. Obviously, we've had a few technical glitches the last week and a bit. We've kind of worked hard trying to get it all sorted, and that's us up and running now. And to everybody that's watching, we're on live on Facebook and YouTube, so please watch and feel free to comment if you want. We're sitting here ready to be slaughtered.
Absolutely, well, Paddy said hit the like button, please, and subscribe if you can, and of course leave a comment. Guys, before we go any further, earlier today we received the sad news that the former Rangers and Scotland manager Walter Smith had passed away after suffering from ill health in recent. I think, without saying that we all football and we all appreciate the special rivalries that exist in the sport, and it's in that spirit that it's only fitting to acknowledge the passing of a man who transcended the divide in Glasgow. Whenever Celtic legend Tommy Burns had passed away, the heartfelt tributes were in no shortage whatsoever from the Rangers support. And so it's not merely reciprocating that act of kindness, but for me, it's genuinely paying respects to acknowledge the legacy of a man who left his mark in life and in football. I don't need to his accomplishments at Rangers or remind anyone of the respect and the presence, but I think just an understatement to admit that he was a wonderful adversary to our own football club, and he leaves behind a wife, children and grandchildren, and I'd like for us to wish them well in this time. Moving on from that, we also received some unfortunate news about another former manager, and that was Wim Jansen of Celtic. Dazza, would you like to say a few words on that one?
I'm afraid Daz seems to be having some technical issues, so he's temporarily dropped out. But I'll go with Wim Jansen with the reveals of dementia. It was really sad news to hear that yesterday as well, as obviously then this morning's news about Walter Smith. Wim Jansen, for me, I think for most of us, he came in, he was one season, he done the job, he knew what he was doing, and he ended the run of their attempt at a 10 in a row. For me, a little bit young to appreciate everything about football. However, one thing I do remember, and it's probably the early days of me understanding tactics a little bit better, was Wim Jansen's ability to start a game. And he had a plan A, a formation, a setup that he wanted to play. But see, within 10 minutes of the game, if he knew that the opposition was playing a different way from expected, or they were closing us down too much or parking the bus, within 10 minutes, he would change the whole game up again. And he just changed everything. And we were never boring. We were never flat. It was always exciting to watch.
Yeah, he was a great tactician. Dazza, welcome back. We're on to Wim Jansen. I know that you wanted to have your say about that.
Well, I don't know what you've managed to get covered.
That's fine, mate.
I come back. Well, for me, Wim Jansen is one of the most important managers in Celtic's history because we stopped that 10. Now, when we stopped that 10, we stopped it against a Rangers team that were strong because they were spending the money that they didn't have, which eventually ended up with what happened years later. So Wim Jansen came up here and he was against it straight away. He dug it out, he brought in Larsson. Craig Burley was a great signing. Mahi, I'm sure, was bought that season as well. And, well, the rest is history, as they say. We stopped 10, and Wim Jansen came, saw, conquered, and left. And I can only say I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and again with the dementia, it's becoming more and more common. We're seeing it far too often, and it's tragic to go through that for the individual and for the family. Guys, moving on to a more happy. Things have actually picked up for Celtic in recent times. The last game was Celtic at home to St Johnstone. That was on Saturday, the 23rd of October, and we won. It was another 2-0 victory. It was a professional performance, and the highlights for me was Giakoumakis actually started, and Josip Juranovic came back into the fold. Paddy, what's your thoughts on that one, mate?
It was good to see Juranovic back in. Great to see Giakoumakis getting his first start. Juranovic obviously played left back, whilst he continued on the right again. With Giakoumakis starting, he was in the central position for the forwards. So Jota continued on the left and Kyogo moved to the right. We spoke about it at the time. We didn't really think that Kyogo's performance out on the right at the start was as effective as he was through the centre. But Jota on the left was brilliant again. He was another kind of masterclass. It was a bit harder for him this time because their defenders were far more compact. But listen, Ralston on the right hand side was brilliant in the right hand side. Sorry, I thought Starfelt had an absolutely incredible match. Believe it or not, I know I've slaughtered him time and time again, but that was his best match so far. In fact, I thought he should get man of the match. I think Jota got man of the match at the stadium. The first goal.
High praise.
I know, mate. I know. Now listen, all credit where it's due. I'll dish it out when I think it's deserved, and I'll certainly give it when I know it's deserved. The first goal, Giakoumakis, brilliant poacher's kind of strike. You looked at the ball came in kind of high, and I think it was Jamie McCart, the ex-Celtic youth player. He kind of hesitated, but as you saw him doing that, Tony Ralston was totally switched on, and he managed to just dart in behind him. As soon as the ball dropped down, stuck the ball in the net, stuck the ball in for Giakoumakis, who was in the perfect position to just swing a leg at it and get his first goal, and it was great. You could see the delight on his face. I was fortunate enough to be sitting with the Kano Foundation at the front with all the kids, and the young team went absolutely mental, so they did. It's fantastic. I know you guys were watching it, so
Brilliant.
I'm sure.
And it's dead important for. Absolutely, it's really important for a Celtic striker to kind of hit the ground running. He had a couple of substitute appearances, Giakoumakis, but he's got his goal. Dazza, what's your opinions? You were at the game. Do you think that's the first of many for the big Greek?
Obviously, he's got it there. He's got the presence to hold the ball up. I think he's going to be brilliant. He holds the ball up well. He'll get his plenty of goals. He'll set plenty up. And it's just, I think the only dilemma we've got now is Kyogo's more effective going through the middle. So we need to try and work our way out to get Kyogo and Giakoumakis, or whatever his name is, through the middle.
Aye, absolutely. McGinty, obviously, the other goal that was scored was Josip Juranovic. He seems to be the designated penalty taker. Definitely an improvement on Callum McGregor, who missed a penalty against Ferencvaros. I'm going to say it again, Cam is a Hindu cow in front of a goal. A brilliant penalty. He looks so composed, and for a fullback to actually come into a club and actually, I don't know, either come with the reputation of a set piece special, a penalty specialist, or show everyone in the first few training sessions just how good he is. Quite impressive that he's actually the first name to be taking penalties. But I was going to ask you that fucking incident. What was it? Chris Kane, was that the guy's name? The guy who was booting Cameron Carter-Vickers on the ground. How in the earth did that man not get sent off?
I think we've said it once or twice before on this podcast. The referees.
Rhetorical question.
Yeah, rhetorical question indeed.
Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it?
Have we got any bleep you out?
But
free speech is allowed.
It was a good game of football overall. I think we were very much well organised, and the backline is definitely becoming a lot more stable. Jovanovic seems to have won the raffle ticket that gets the left back spot this week. We'll see who gets it tomorrow night. Maybe Montgomery might get lucky this time. All jokes aside, Jovanovic stepping up for that penalty was good to see somebody be. I presume it's been decided before the game, so it's good to see somebody's been picked and he's went up, he's put the ball down, he's been composed, as he says, calm as a Hindu cow, and puts it in the back of the net, calm and collective. So I'm happy to see that. Slightly baffling that none of our attacking players seem confident enough or willing enough to take a penalty, but I don't care, so long as you can put it in the back of the net and you can do it regular. I don't care what position you play. For me, overall, great game, good game of football. We're definitely seeing slight changes within the structure of the team itself. Well, not so much the structure, but the way that the players are adapting to Angie's style. I think we're a little bit less gung-ho with the inverted wing-backs, or full-backs rather. One seems to be coming inverted while the other one kind of stays in position. They're kind of a little bit more tandem, so it's giving the backline a lot more structure. So I'm very happy to see that. It's building on a good run of form just now, and long may it continue.
Do you know what I noticed when you talk about the structure?
Am I the only one drinking tonight?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
I've got water.
What I noticed about the structure, McGinty, was another player that I've been quite critical. Tony Ralston. I thought Tony Ralston's off the ball movement was tremendous. You could see him transitioning into every single aspect of the way that the game was changing. Do you know what I mean? He was anticipating every single movement for as soon as St Johnstone got the ball. If he started off in kind of the midfield area when Celtic were attacking, you could see him. You know what I mean? He was so tuned on, and as soon the minute St Johnstone were getting any kind of sniffy possession, or as soon as they got possession, Ralston was transitioning back out to the full-back area or kind of wing-back area. And every single time he done it, and his timing was it was perfect. It was absolutely spot on. And it was the same with Starfelt. I know Starfelt won every single. Well, just to retort back, I've said that Starfelt hasn't done a single thing as a defender. I've said he's no won a physical battle. He's no won a challenge that I can think about. He's no done anything but a simple 2-yard pass. But on Saturday, he did everything that you can expect for a defender. He won every aerial battle, he won every physical battle, and he won every single tackle. And there was one that was absolutely brilliant. It was almost like a recovering type tackle. St Johnstone got possession. We're running through, and he was back as quick as a flash with a sliding tackle, went back to possession. And you know what? Every single time that he got the ball, the crowd was cheering him, and they were geeing him up. Do you know what I mean? Which is good. It's good for a guy that we're talking about doesn't really give off much confidence to us. So how much confidence has he got?
Yeah.
So that can only be a good thing. Plus the partnership with him and Vickers looked a lot more secure.
It's definitely overall becoming a lot more stable. I think Joe Hart plays a big part in that as well, bringing a lot of stability, a lot of commanding of the backline. And just over time, we just seem to be slowly but surely gelling into an organised backline. It's been very steady the last kind of 4 or 5 games there, I think, and I think it's really showing. Interesting enough,
the carousel that is left back.
The left back, yeah. Interesting enough, I actually saw the SPFL Twitter account today announced the team of the week for the SPFL, and yeah, Carl Starfelt is in the team of the week for the SPFL, which goes to show that he is being acknowledged as having a very good game.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well, a massive change in fortunes for the the defence, Starfelt and Ralston in particular. I know that Paddy was very, very vocal about those two at the start of the season, and they've changed it around, and it is great to see Paddy actually acknowledging that, because it's just honesty at the end of the day. You want to see them succeed. Dazza, another player that we want to see do well at Celtic is Mikey Johnson. He came on with half an hour to go. The poor boy's not been without his injury problems recently. Do you think that this is possibly the last chance saloon for Mikey Johnson? If it doesn't work out this time, do you think he might get shipped out elsewhere? And how important is it right now for him to seize his opportunity?
It depends on any future injuries he's got, because every time he comes on, he's always looked a live wire, no matter which season we talk about. Sometimes it doesn't work for him, other times it does. He came on against Livingston and he looked a wee bit rusty, but I think that's we're trying too much. The other day he's come on, so he's a good prospect to come off the bench, you know, and I think he can break teams down, just like he showed he could do on Saturday. He was getting very, very lively. So I don't think it's last chance to learn. I think it's depending what his injury is, because the boys clearly got it. It just needs to build on a wee bit more confidence, a wee bit more match time. So no, I wouldn't write him off if he doesn't do it this time around. I mean, he's definitely got something.
But do you know what you could see, right? Is I heard that comment to Postecoglou the other day, and he says that the new technical sports science guy, Anton McAllen, says that his influence is already starting to rub off on the team. So if you can get Mikey Johnson kind of worked on, try and build them up, or try and work on whatever it is it's causing these niggling injuries that's leaving them out for a long time, that could be something that could be obviously being a positive. But if you can get a fit Mikey Johnson, then what you're going to have there is a young guy that's certainly got ability, he's got heart, he's just not showing his fitness. If you can get that sorted, then you've got a guy that you can literally fling on the last 10, 15 minutes and go and attack defenders. Because that's what he's good at. He's good at getting down the wing, wee bit of trickery. He's good at dragging them inside and opening up the play. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a bad thing to have a fit Mikey Johnson.
What does that say?
And he hit the post, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he did, aye.
What were you saying, McGinty? What does it say?
I was just going to say, what does that say about the overall fitness, and not just the fitness, but the overall physio side of our club, when this is now the second time in the last, 6 years that managers came in on the back of a Neil Lennon tenure and has actually slated, Ange said this at the start of the season, he slated the fitness condition of our players. And it's taken until barely a month ago for Anton McKellen to come in. And within less than a month, he's already noticing the difference. How poor was our physio and fitness before getting ahead of sports science guy in to actually sort this shit out? I think that's quite telling.
Aye, well, on the up, let's see more people actually coming back. And that kind of brings me on to the next point. I think in terms of the squad fitness, after the first international break of the season, Celtic were depleted. We were on our knees in terms of players who were actually available. Had so many injuries. And after the first international break, it just couldn't have went worse for Celtic. But following the latest international break, Celtic have really turned it around. The last game that we had prior to the latest international break was Celtic away to Aberdeen, and that was when we kind of turned a corner. We got our first away win since like Valentine's Day or whenever it was. We won that one 2-1, and now we are kind of on the up. So we have played 3 games since then, and we've won all of them 2-0. So that was St Johnstone 2-0, Ferencváros 2-0, and the last one Motherwell 2-0, another away win. McGinty, I know that you were talking about the upcoming fixtures for Celtic, and I think it was like a segment of 7 or 8 games. We're nearing the kind of midway stage of that kind of segment that you highlighted, and you were saying how critical it was for Ange to get a winning momentum. I was kind of thinking about it the way you said it, and I was going to call it the McGinty gauntlet. These games that you must win in order to kind of to keep the Celtic fans on side, and quite rightly, you pointed out that even some Celtic fans were questioning the methods of Ange, and it looks as if we're kind of turning things around. So it's a critical period right now. We need to get points on the board. Where I'll be right now, guys, are we 4th in the league? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, sitting 4th in the league, 4 points behind, 3 points behind Hearts and Dundee United.
19 points for them.
Aye. Well, it's a strange position for Celtic to be in, but we need to keep continuing building that momentum and get more consistency within the team, such as what you've highlighted, like within defence. So, McGinty, do you think that Ange is on the kind of cusp of turning things around?
I think he is. As you say about the kind of run of fixtures, the McGinty gauntlet, as you're going to allude to it now. On the back of the Aberdeen game, it was a 2-1. Between that and your Hindu cows, between the international breaks and coming back, it's definitely been a lot more pleasing to watch Celtic the last couple of weeks. So I think it was after the Aberdeen game we scraped through that 2-1. It wasn't pretty. It was laboured. It's on the back of the defeat to Leverkusen, draws against Dundee United sort of thing. So we're very much on a downer. And for me, we're in this run of 8 games. We're 3 games into it, another 5 to go. If we can beat Hibs away, if we can beat Livingston, get another good performance against Ferencváros, preferably a win in Hungary, beat Dundee, and then go into that semi-final and get ourselves into the final. If we can win these next 5 games again, then I think that is kind of the turning point of the season. This really, for me, is the run. It's winnable games. And it's seen a run of form in the league. It's seen good performances in the Europa League to put us on a good foot into the last 2 games. And it gets us into a League Cup final. I think all 3 of those things propels us forward, especially when you look at how close we're getting to the top position now. That other mob, they're going to drop points, I think, within this run of games. So we're going to get really close. And it's going to be a lot of momentum building. I think a lot of positivity. And the last 3 games, as I said, 2-0 wins. It's building. I think he's, on the cusp of achieving his vision. I think it's a bit early to say he's going to achieve his whole vision, but he's definitely at a point where we're 3-4 months into his tenure and we're starting to see things ticking over the way that he wants it. We're getting clean sheets, we're getting the goals, players are coming back. It's become a wee bit more exciting.
Aye, good points. I think. Sorry, Dazza.
It's good for us, for fans, to be looking that much in the distance, what's going to happen over the next 4, 5, 6 games. But I hope the team are just focusing on tomorrow night. Let's go out there, professional job done, and then go on a run. So it's Hibs next, and then that's it. Hibs is the most important game of the season. Now, and then it'll be the next one, and then the next one. If that makes sense.
Aye. Take one game at a time. So then, up to Hibs. Paddy, I think kind of focusing on that, but kind of harkening back to that Aberdeen and Celtic game where we kind of did turn the corner. I think that was a massive kind of character building match for Celtic. So we went hell for leather against Aberdeen. We came away with the victory. That'll give us a lot of confidence, and we've certainly carried that on. So Hibs are doing well. I think the third, I think it's like Rangers, Hearts, and then Hibs. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Hibs are doing really well. And that boy, Martin Boyle, is that his name? Boyle, the forward for Hibs. He's one of the top scorers right now in the league. He's doing well. And saying that, I don't think Nisbet has really started the season well. So how do you think we'll fare tomorrow night?
Well, as you said, we kind of turned the tide, well, a big tide, when we managed to come away from Pittodrie with a win, which, as we were all expecting, was going to be a kind of a big moment for us and for the team. You know, giving them back that belief that we can actually break the duck, go and get a win, and then try and move on from there after the international break. We've did it. So far, played St Johnstone at home, kind of difficult team, did really, really well last year. Managed to win convincingly, although some of the news journalists would say that we toiled, which is a lot of shite. But no, listen, the guys are definitely looking as if they're starting to gel. They're starting to look as if they're believing in this formation, whereas you never saw that kind of last month. But again, you've got different players coming in, you've got players coming back from injury. They're getting there. They're clearly working on and training every single day. So if we can take this momentum that we've got now to Hibs tomorrow, hard ground to go to. But if we can do that, and we can play convincingly, come away from there with a win, you know what I mean? That's another scalp that we've managed to get on the road to recovery, if you want to call it that.
Pardon me. I think in recent times we've actually struggled a bit at Easter Road. Some of the games can be quite open, and they've been kind of gung ho attacking our defence. McGinney, do you think it'll be another kind of free flowing open game against Hibs? They certainly don't have much fear, and nor should they, since they've had such a good start.
Just going to bring up a quick message just to highlight a point. Hibs are actually 5th. Dundee United are 3rd, and Hibs are 5th with 4 points behind us. Just got that news in from the Celtic Supporters podcast on YouTube.
And the game is at 7:45, no 7, what I believe the ticker's on.
Oh.
My pal just texted me that, so my pals are watching this.
Thank you for the correction, by the way.
Great, guys, come on. We're meant to be professionals here. What was your question there?
You guys keep me right. Do you think it'll be another kind of open game? And do you think we could be exposed? Any vulnerabilities that we do have? Do you think there's a potential that we could be exposed against Hibs?
I think playing against teams like Hibs, we should always be careful, especially when we're going to Easter Road. Yeah, Easter Road. Almost said Pistaudry there. We shouldn't take it for granted. However, Hibs, they started the season so well, but their form just now is pretty shoddy. 3 defeats in a row, I think it is for them. So they're struggling, and they're there for the taking. We definitely need to, as I said earlier, we definitely need to keep this run going, keep the momentum going, and we should go there with the same game plan that we had at the last game. Go with a kind of steady backline, comfortable in possession, but look to create that space. Be a bit methodical about it, not too gung-ho. Give him a little bit of respect. Don't take anything for granted, but the win should be definitely achievable. We shouldn't be scared of it.
Totally. Going a little bit off topic, Paddy, you kind of brought the thought up in my mind about the kind of the headlines that Celtic toiled against St Johnstone there, which is not really reflective of the game that I watched. Postecoglou's replies with some of the questions, some of the idiotic questions that he gets posed in the media. I'm finding it thoroughly refreshing. I know that Gordon Strachan certainly had his own kind of his brand, his own method of dealing with the media, but what Postecoglou, it's different. But he certainly always on the front foot. He's quick. I love it. I love him putting people in their place and not taking any shite from them. What do you think of that?
Well, the difference between Postecoglou and Strachan was quite a nippy wee sweetie, wasn't he? The way he would retort back to the people in the media. Sometimes they even speak about Celtic supporters as well. But big Postecoglou, maybe it's the kind of Greek Australian in him, but he's dead laid back. Do you know what I mean? Nothing seems to faze him. When he gets asked idiotic questions, it's just like almost like, what are you talking about, mate? You know what I mean? And I can't actually remember the most recent one. You might be able to tell me. But it was just
actually the most recent one. The most recent one was Walter Smith. Somebody actually asked him, "Do you know who Walter Smith is?" And he said, "Of course I do, mate." It's just daft questions, but it's great him putting them in their place.
But that's the kind of mentality you get for the Scottish media. Especially, the ones that will come to Celtic Park and they'll sit there and they'll be snide, but in a sleek way. Do you know what I mean? They won't be right out and come out and say what they're saying. It's almost as if they try
patronising.
Patronising, mate. That's about the perfect word for it. But it's almost as if like they try and put out these snarky comments to try and get a bite from a Celtic manager. But as you say, it's quite refreshing to see big hands just shutting them down without actually like slapping them across the face, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I think there's a big difference between the way that Ange does it compared to Gordon Strachan, for example. Strachan was, as you said, snippy, weird, and he liked his wee quirks, and he's trying to be humorous and funny. He was looking for some sort of reaction to be quirky about it, whereas Ange is more like, no, I'm going to call you out. You're asking a daft fucking question. I'm going to tell you it's a daft fucking question. And then I'm going to give you your fucking answer. You're going to get to fuck about it. He's just not taking any shit. It comes across actually quite refreshing to me.
two direct quotes from each of them. Gordon can have a quick word. Velocity. You know what I mean? And
It's a belter.
Ange was when asked about the game, he goes like, "I thought the league was done. I thought you told us the league was won, so we're not concentrating on that. We're
That's
concentrating on ourselves."
That's it, Dazza. It's the snippy ones from Gordon Strachan, which that Velocity one was hilarious. I'm not going to downplay it or anything, but it's to be funny and quirky. Whereas Ange just turn around and put them in place and being that. No, you told me it's over. Get yourself to fuck.
McGinty, you didn't just praise Gordon Strachan, did you?
I slightly did, a little bit. I still don't want him in the position that he's in just now.
You're walking a tightrope there, mate. I love the fact that he's not emotional. He's witty, and he's kind of casual about responding back to them. And it's not like the Jose Mourinho siege mentality, where it's us against them, which would be very easy to adopt. But he's not fallen for that trap either. I think he's handling it very, very well. And whatever media training that the guy's had, if any, I think he's doing it extremely well. Certainly learned from his mistakes. I remember seeing one very, very explosive interview that he had in Australian TV when he was I think at that time he was the manager of Australia. So whatever's happened between then and now, he's certainly doing very, very well, and he's putting the reporters at times on the back foot. But moving on from that, let's talk about Europe. So we beat Ferencváros there. That was 2-0 at home. I think the Hungarian media completely held their hands up, and they said that Ferencváros were shite against Celtic. So another professional display from Celtic after the defeats against Real Betis and Leverkusen. Dazza, how do you think we'll fare in the remaining games we've got? I think if we come third, correct me if I'm wrong, if we come third, do we go into the sexy Conference League?
Aye, we're down playing Spurs in the Conference League. In fact, if they get through there, they're two on as well, aren't they? But all in all, I'm not getting too carried away with that Ferencváros result. And even if we go there, I'm still not going to be too getting carried away, because Betis and Leverkusen are not any mugs, and I think, if I'm being honest, they've got the upper hand in it. But in adversity, I dare say that's when we become the better, isn't it? I mean, when we're what off. So I'm hoping that we can do it. But see, to be honest, it was all about just getting there for me. Now we're there, let's enjoy it, and then hopefully come back and win the league. So I would rather we won the league than if I was offered one or the other.
McGinty, you said against... Sorry, I think we might have a wee technical issue with Dazza there. You back now? You good? Spot on. McGinty, Ferencváros, you said that was, we needed the 6 points off them. Still stand by that? Still achievable, going over there and taking another 3 points off them?
Yep, 100%. If we take another 3 points off them, that puts us on 6. Ferencváros will be on 0 points with 2 games remaining. We all but confirm third place and dropping into the conference at least. I think we can still achieve second place if we are turning the corner sort of thing and we're coming on to our game. You look at the Leverkusen Betis results, they're both sitting on 7 points. They're playing their double header. Either both of them end up on 8 points, thus first place is only 2 points away from us, or one of them remains on 7 points and second place is only 1 point away from us, and we play that other team again. So I think it's very much still in our hands to try and get second place, but we need to focus, as far as Europa League is concerned, as Dazza says earlier, kind of one game at a time here just now. Play Ferencváros next, get the 6 points in the bag overall between the 2 games, cement that place and move forward. I'd like to see us get something off Betis, especially at home. That would be great, but we'll see how that happens when it comes. We'll take things kind of slow and steady just now.
Yeah, I think against Betis we shat the bed. We went 2-0 up and we got giddy almost. And all they had to do was just kind of change their tactics a bit, and they got 4 goals, and and just two before half time and two right after half time. I think we shat the bed. I would like to say that we've learned a lot. Certainly, even if we were to go back and replay Midtjylland and the qualifiers, I think the team right now, the way that we're playing right now, if we were to go back and play Midtjylland, I think we would beat them. I'm not going to be arrogant and say comfortably beat them, but I think that we've learned a lot, and I would like to think that we've learned a lot since we lost 4-2 to Real Betis. Paddy, do you think it's achievable to take points off that mob? And even if we were to go into the Conference League, I don't think there's that much shame losing to Leverkusen and Betis. It's been a difficult start to the season anyway. I know that I'm kind of sitting in the fence in that one, but what's your thoughts?
I do, but see, just before I go, I know I'm probably kind of pushing the boundaries here by saying this, but see, whenever you said that we shat the bed against the Real Betis, like, do you know what thought came into my head? My thought came into my head, that scene for American Pie, where Jim's got the bird in the room and he's managed to get her into the room, like, you know, beautiful bird, and he gets her closer, and the closer it gets to pulling her pants down, do you know what I mean? He just blows it. that's just a vision I got in my head there when you were talking about Betis.
Is this turning into Pornhub?
it might be, mate. No the watershed yet, no. But no, listen, me and McGinty say that this, when the draw was made, we looked at all the teams. Saw Leverkusen right away and thought, right, that's going to be obviously the toughest, trickiest one at the lot. We would be lucky to get a point at Parkhead, never mind anything, you know, on Germany. Then we looked at Betis and we thought, right, that's hopefully achievable, that we can maybe take something off them. You know, hopefully a win at Parkhead and a draw away. We were close to taking all 3 points until we blew it. Then obviously we've beat Ferencváros. Do you know what I mean? So we've won points in the league, which is great. If we can get a result against Betis at home, hopefully, do you know what I mean? That would be ideal. But see if we don't, see if we finish third would be a great position, I think, because it glitches into that. What's it called? Europa League 2 or something, conference.
Europa sexy, aye.
Europa sexy. Yeah, the Conference League.
But that comment there's fair.
Europe after Christmas is a bonus. Of course it is. And do you know what?
That's definitely fair.
A very good comment.
It is always a bonus, right? And it's great for Celtic fans that they're going to, you know, possibly have a nice trip away. It's great to get the fans into Glasgow, surrounding areas, pubs, bars, whatever it may be, cafes, the lot. But when you're thinking solely about...
Is a plug coming?
No. When you're thinking when you're thinking solely about the team, you know, we're a team in transition. We are hopefully going to be trying to win the league. I think the less games that we've got, the better. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to see us finishing fourth. I don't want to see us dropping out. But if that was to happen, in hindsight, it lets us focus on our domestic competitions, which is the most important thing this season for me.
That ties back into what you were saying at the very start of us doing this podcast, that the league was our bread and butter, of course, but this particular season is very, very important for the kind of the bounty that we get, or whoever gets that bounty for the Champions League money. And I know that you said that can't take it for granted. Being in Europe is great, but you would not be heartbroken if we were to go out, and you're being consistent with that line of thinking. Obviously, you don't want us to take a nosedive.
No,
drop out.
I never ever want to see Celtic beat. I want us to win everything, right? But to put things into perspective and try and be sensible, this is a big season for us. It's a big season of transition. We've got a new manager in. We're still working on things in the background, apparently. We've got players coming in, players coming back for injury. We need to go and chase this title. I don't care about domestic cups. I don't care about Europe, but I love to see us in it, obviously. I love the performances, whatever. I just want that league title back. We need to wrestle that back for the grasp, for the other mob. Do you know what I mean? We need to stamp your domestic dominance back on it again, because this season, especially, the financial riches that could come at the end of it by getting automatic qualifications into the Champions League, that's going to be a big game changer, I think, for whoever gets it. Do you know what I mean?
See the difference, right? See Celtic losing in the league. I carry that for days. Now think about what could have been, what we've done wrong, and dissect it. See Celtic losing Europe. I'm out at the time I've had my first pint. Do you know what I mean? It's you know what I'm talking about? It's the league is bread and butter, as you alluded to.
It is totally bread and butter, and it's. I see what both of you are saying, especially Paddy with the we kind of focus on the league. You'd kind of probably rather us no be bogged down with games going into February and March. However, for me, just now the next game up is Ferencváros, and I want us to win it. I kind of expect us to win it. To not win this game in a way that kind of embarrasses us, I think would be more harm than good at this point in time. So automatically, by winning that game when's that game played next month in a week's time or so, that would pretty much seal third place, and with all due respect, pretty much seals us into having European football after Christmas. So it kind of like it's gonna. Even just this one result, to get what we want from this one result is going to inevitably see us in Europe. So I'm kind of already looking that far advanced. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing from my perspective to be that far advanced in my thinking. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm expecting us to go through at this point. I'm expecting enough performances in this group stage that we will go through. And if we don't, then I'm going to be disappointed.
But naturally, we'd be disappointed with any defeat. You know what I mean? And no progression.
Of course. So I can take a defeat against Leverkusen again, and I could just about stomach a narrow draw / defeat against Betis at home, so long as we put in a performance of our life sort of thing. But even that, still, I expect to beat Ferencváros, and that pretty much guarantees us that third spot. It's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm basically thinking, yeah, European football after Christmas without getting my eggs too soon.
But again, we did say that, you and I, a couple of months ago, was that we expected to get 6 points against Ferencváros, a win home and away.
Definitely.
So if we get that, do you know what I mean? That's going to be it's what you would expect. No disrespect to Ferencváros, but that is definitely what you would expect. Was when looking at that. The group table when it was through was to get both wins against Ferencváros and try and get something against the other two teams. I mean, we almost got it away for Betis, which was pleasing to see, especially so early kind of in this transitional season. As Gav says, we shot the bed, lost it. Leverkusen totally romped us at Park Heath, but that was partly due to our own faults. You know what I mean? But listen, whatever goes, if we get to the third place, then happy days. If we don't, well, we'll probably moan about it, but then let it.
That's what we're here for.
Let it go, and then just go and try and chase the league.
Guys, there was another bit of news, well, maybe not news, but rumours. The kind of Celtic in the boardroom. Are we close to appointing a director of football? I know that we weren't prioritising it massively. I know that we were going to do our workings in the background. I'm just saying that. I'm actually thinking about Dominic Mackay right now, getting a job very, very quickly after leaving Celtic for family reasons. But yeah, director of football, Paddy, you were paying attention to that one. What's on the rumour mill for that?
Well, the rumour mill is that what's his name? Graham Matthew was at the game on Saturday. Graham Matthew was he had a top role at Hibs. I think he might have been director of football or technical director, whatever it might be called. But he had a big role at Hibs, and then I think he was moved on after the takeover with the new Hibs regime. But as far as I'm led to believe, and McGinty's absolutely going to love this, is that he's a close friend of Gordon Strachan.
Yeah, I'm hearing. We've all looked at his. We've all, I'm sure, seen tidbits of information relating to his past. Seemingly, he was at Coventry. He came through the playing ranks while Strachan was there, along with a younger Strachan playing as well, I think. And then he's been previously at Celtic, I think, during the Strachan years up until around about 2011 or so. So he's got past experience with high-ranking members within our club just now, be it our assistant manager, assistant coach, and our de facto women's youth combo director of football, technical director, whatever fucking temporary position that Strachan's in. And he's been
So
with
is
the
he
board.
tainted? Is the man tainted?
Job for the boys. It is definitely a job for the boys here. If he gets this director of football, let's make sure we all know this is just rumours. He could be sitting in that stand because he is a Celtic fan and he had previous connections, and that could be as innocent as it is. However, if we give a director of football job to a guy who already has worked with this board before, who's got connections with the two Strachans, it doesn't do anything but scream job for the boys again. Short-sighted, lazy appointment to me. We were quick to sack. I'm going to call it a sacking of Dominic McGuy, bringing in the lawyer, bumping him up to CEO, and using the phrase "very much a team player," basically hinting that Dom McKay was not a team player of this board. So if we're going to bring in somebody else who is very much connected to the board, you can only assume he's going to be very much a team player, which to me, lazy job for the boys. I wouldn't be very optimistic about this appointment.
So I'm assuming that you're saying there's a bit of nepotism there between Gordon Strachan, the technical director, Gavin Strachan, the assistant manager, and you also forgot the other Strachan that's at Celtic Park.
Fucking tea lady, dinner lady, cleaner, whoever she is.
He's a scout.
Oh, there's a scout?
There's a scout. There's a Craig Strachan, I believe it is. He's one of the scouts.
So are any of us surprised then if the Strachan dynasty is taking over that we're now hiring basically, or proposably hiring ex-fucking pals and teammates of them? Come on. But we're not going very far with this one, are we?
Well, again, as you say, it's just rumours, but that's obviously all that we can work on.
What for the mixed days?
But there has been talk kind of recently that Andrew's he's not quite openly spoken about it, but he has said that there's been kind of movement in the background towards getting in what he wants. So I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, but would you suggest that Graham Maffey coming in as the director of football would be something that Ange wants?
I'm pretty sure over in Australia and in Japan, the Ange Postecoglou was keeping close tabs on Graham Maffey for the last 10 years. Of course he was. Hibs was his first team to go, and Football Manager, he knows all about this guy. I very much doubt it. It's clearly a board appointment, which, to be honest, get feeling Anthony doesn't like we got distracted. So a topic for another day. Yes. It really isn't a good look if we appoint this guy, to be honest.
Playing devil's advocate here, okay? We bring in Strachan for the 3-month consultancy role. It's very, very unlikely that he would. I'm assuming that this Maffey guy, and again, it's just a rumour. So I'm pandering to a rumour here, but it'd be very unlikely that Strachan would come in for that consultancy period and recommend someone that he's never had a working relationship with in the past. So it's quite predictable that he would recommend someone that he's had first-hand experience of working with. So that's natural. That's pragmatic.
That is predictable. That's not a good thing for me. If this is the best we can do, is just the old pals act between an old manager of us. I mean, where's the ambition? Where's the scope of growth and putting ourselves out there?
I think it's more important to focus on this individual, not who he knows, not his affiliations.
Individual,
we should focus on his achievements. And
what's he achieved really? What's he achieved? What's he going to bring that's really going to elevate us? Director of football doesn't need to be 40. It doesn't need to have a fancy name or nothing like that. But what's he really done that merits this position?
You did want a young candidate as well, didn't you?
I want any sort of candidate that's got a modern approach to football. It doesn't need to be young, just modern approach to football.
See, right now, the appointment is Schrodinger's cat. You know what I mean? It's either going to be good or it isn't, but we're not going to know that until January. Because everything about the team now is all about the team at manager level, for the dugout to the park. What happens upstairs now is, well, I wouldn't say immaterial, but it's not the main issue. What's happening on the park and the dugout, that's where it's come January. If then he fails, then that's when the criticism can start, or praise, whatever way it goes. But right now, I think the park and the dugout is where it's at Celtic Park.
I know. I think the boardroom stuff, especially when we talk about the idea of director of football's backroom staff structure and stuff, I think it's very much a very important part that we've been lacking for years. For me, that very much should be a focus point. And while we're in between windows, I think Ange alluded to this near the tail end of August, that once we get out the transfer window, this is when we're going to see these changes, such as the sports science guy coming in, hopefully a director of football. That's the way we're going, and we see other backroom changes. I think that is what we should be doing now. In the background, as pure football fans who just want to see good football, I totally get the point of focusing on the pitch stuff. There's nothing more that the team can do at this point, but do what they do on the training pitch and do what they do on match days.
Well, see what you said there about the sports science guy, McAloon, coming on. I think the difference when you looked at that is you look back at his CV, and he came for Hibs as well, didn't he? Is that right?
He had a stint there way back in the day, early days, but his biggest stints are Spurs.
He started off at Hibs and then went to Spurs. He was headhunted by Spurs, and you look at that. He spent a good, I think it was a decade there. So that's quite a decent CV to have. Do you know what I mean? When he's overseeing guys like Harry Kane and Son and stuff like that. When you're maybe looking at a Graham Maffey, no disrespect to him, I don't really know that much about him as a director of football. But if you were to look at the appointment of McAloon and the rumoured appointment of Maffey, there's nothing there that really sticks out, nothing there that really excites you. And as all we can do as supporters is kind of look at external links as what we would expect for Celtic. Do you know what I mean? Is to bring in jobs for the boys, guys that really shouldn't be in certain positions. Don't know what you think about that.
I think Dazza has been in and out more times than Mikey Johnson at the physio's room, huh?
I genuinely don't know what's happening. It just keeps it goes all quiet, then he's all disappear, then I come back myself, and then so I need to leave and then come back in, and it works again.
Some slight technicals. We'll look at this obviously off live and figure something out.
It's a new system, guys. We're just getting used to it.
We're getting there. Teething problems, but we're getting there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting there.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm loving the name tags too. Nice touch with that one. And by the way, the interaction with the people online, I'm loving that as well. Some good comments as well from some of the guys tonight. One kind of final topic, perhaps, unless you guys have got anything else that you want to kind of bring to the table. Going back to the Jack and Mackie starting, it's up front, okay. We're playing 4-3-3. I don't know if Postecoglou is going to show any flexibility with that, but for the time being, judging from what we've seen, he's been rigid with this 4-3-3. I don't know if he's deviated from that with the previous clubs that he's been in charge of, but for us right now, it's 4-3-3. Kyogo, let's not beat around the bush. He excels as the middle forward. As a winger, as a forward on the flank, I don't think he's that effective. I don't think he has the natural instincts that perhaps a Jota or a James Forrest has. So, if we are to agree, I'm putting words in your mouth here, but if we were to agree that Kyogo is the best centre forward at the club, we've bought Jack and Marcus. He definitely doesn't play left wing or right wing. He's a centre forward too. And we saw in the last game there, Kyogo was on the right flank and Jack and Marcus was on the middle. How do we get the best out of both of these players? Is Giacomakis a plan B, an impact player, or can we get both of them playing together? Paddy, what is your thoughts on that one? Because it's annoying. I think both of them can be very, very effective. I would like to see them play two up top. What's your thoughts, mate?
I don't think Andrew's going to deviate away from his preferred system, a 4-3-3. We said right at the very start when Kyogo came in, sorry, we never said it, the manager said it, was that he was mostly a winger. But out of necessity, we played Kyogo through the centre, and that he went on a great run of scoring. He looked very, very capable of holding the line. His movement was excellent. He obviously scored I think it was 8 goals in 11 games, something like that. But with Giakoumakis coming in, you look at his goal scoring record last season in the Eredivisie, top goal scorer with the club that get relegated, last position. Guys obviously got the nose for the goal. You look at him for when he's come in, especially on Saturday there, where I thought he was really, really good. He's a physical presence. He's quite bullish, and that's something that we've really, really missed out on the last few years. No disrespect to Kyogo, but he's pretty slight. Do you know what I mean? He's definitely a player that can lead the line. But I think for me, I've said it before on episodes as well, and I've said it to you guys. I love to see a big striker who can rustle up. And if you're going to get somebody who's got that physical presence and can score goals, then you need to get that into the system somewhere. So for me, I would stick with Giakoumakis through the centre. Kyogo wasn't as effective on the right on Saturday, but what he's off the ball movement was really, really good, and he offered more a defensive kind of foil for Ralston to come forward. Because at points Kyogo was at centre back coming back to win the ball. But what I would do is I would have Giakoumakis through the centre. I would try Kyogo on the left, and I would try Jota on the right, because I think that boy could play anywhere. And I think Kyogo would be more effective if he was playing possibly in his most natural position, which is kind of left forward, left winger, whatever you want to call it, and it's cutting onto his right foot, where he's going to be more creative towards the goal, rather than being your kind of right-footed kind of winger type, where he's passing through or crossing through. I think you're going to get the best of him when he's coming inside and having a pop-perfect goal, or linking up with Giakoumakis and kind of feeding off him.
Going to pass that one over to Daz. Is it a good dilemma?
Obviously it's good if it's going to work and get his goals, but the greatest partnership strikers or combinations was either Larsson, Hartson, Sutton. Big guy, wee guy. So it can work them going through. If you look at Kyogo versus them, that's progression for me, that. If you look at Kyogo versus them, when Eddie was on, it wasn't effective. Then Ange took Eddie off, and we get more out of Kyogo in the last 10-15 minutes than we did the full game, to the point where the keeper pulled off some good saves and nearly got to something out there. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely, we've got a problem here that's easy solved, but it's just working out how to solve it. Big guy, wee guy, it works time and time again. It could work again. So let's not put Kyogo where he's no effect. Let's get him in the middle. Let's get the two, one holding off and one slotting it away.
Totally agree. I wouldn't claim to be a J-League expert here at all, but when we were signing Kyogo, I did watch one game that Vissel Kobe played over the summer months just to see who the guy was, sort of thing. And I was quite impressed with him on that game. I think it was maybe his last game or his second last game before he came over. And I did note at the time, he played through the middle with a strike partner of some kind. Couldn't tell if there's a big guy strike partner or if there's maybe like a number 10 supporting him going through. But he definitely looked like he played well with a partnership right through the middle. Will Ange adopt that to accommodate both Kyogo and Giakoumakis? I'm very doubtful. Very doubtful that would be the case. But it's an option that we could look at Kyogo going as the number 10 if perhaps maybe Rogic or Turnbull needs the rest of some kind. But it's definitely, as Daz was saying there, you saw it even at the weekend, playing Kyogo on either side is not he's not as effective as he can be. Against them, you saw the difference when he went through the middle himself, and I feel like you saw it the weekend as well when he eventually went through the middle himself and Giakoumakis came off. I felt we just had a little bit more about us, a little bit more bite and a little bit more running behind. Maybe that has a little bit to do with Mikey coming on as well, but definitely I think Kyogo needs to play through the middle. It's whether or not we can fit Giakoumakis in and around it.
We'll see if you're going to go to obviously we've got Livingston coming up. Is that away? Is it Celtic Park?
At home.
At home, right? Well, obviously home is a bit different because you get that big open pitch. But if you're going to go somewhere like Livingston away or Ross County away or whatever, do you think that when you're playing against teams on their wee compact pitch against a compact defence full of cluggers, it would be more advantageous to play a guy like Giakoumakis and have the weird guys kind of feeding off him.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, so that's something that could rotate. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Ange's got. I think he's quite rigid with his style and his tactic, but I don't think he's going to be rigid with his players. Do you know what I mean? So if that's the case, then if you want to go with Kyle go up front, the best thing for him to do would be to play on a pitch like Celtic Park where it's going to be open. He can run in behind defenders, but I don't think so much. Like as I say, a Livingston away on a Ross County away, where it's just going to be big, ugly defenders kind of trying to squeeze you in, and you're not going to get much joy, other than when you try and put crosses in and they're just going to clear it all the time.
No, definitely, it's an option for these teams that are parking the bus as such. I think Giammakis is definitely a great option off the bench the last half hour when we're maybe struggling to break down defences, even in what would be a more open game. There's definitely a player that I'm liking the look of from Giammakis, and I was quite kind of against the idea before he signed. I was questioning what he could offer us, but you can definitely see the difference. The difference in him playing up there as a kind of poacher. You saw it with his goal at the weekend. Great poacher's goal. And I think if he can offer that kind of focal point and that kind of target man to throw a ball up to, he's definitely got a place in this season to get us some important goals.
Definitely agree with that. And it wasn't just his goal; it was his movement. He was dragging defenders off. He was backing into them. He was holding them off or not, and he was winning headers as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely an aspect that we've missed up front. So if we can find some way to kind of gel that together, either be it through kind of change of personnel or a slight change of tactic, which I don't think will happen, but hopefully if it does, then it'll all pay off. You know what I mean? And you're going to see when the likes of Giammakis gets up to speed a bit more, you're going to see some sort of a partnership, even if it's just with Giammakis through the centre and the two just either side him.
Just sort of like just sort of moving on there, like because over the strikers. I think it's important, right? Who's impressed? Near Beaton's impressed me because he's playing that more defensive midfield role when he's come in. So I think that's key as well. Somebody, an anchor man. You know what I mean? It's all right having all the flair in the world, but this game needs an anchor man. And what do you think?
Again, yeah, I've been impressed with Beaton going into those midfield positions. On you go, Gav.
Well, let's kind of break it down. We're playing three in the midfield. So we've got McGregor, who's got a lot of responsibility. He's the kind of Paddy. That's one of the words that you use. The metronome. Metronome.
Metronome.
He keeps things.
Takes the time over.
He keeps things ticking over. Indeed, and you've got Rogic and you've got Turnbull, who. Yeah, by and large, they have done well this season. Certainly, Rogic with his fitness, he's really excelled. But we're lacking that typical defensive midfielder. Soro, a lot of people were clamouring for Soro to get his opportunity to an extent. To an extent, he's had his opportunity this season. It's not. We're not sending him home. We're not telling him to pack his bags now. But he came into the team. I had a run of games, and he's certainly like the Real Betis game for me kind of sticks out. Don't know how he managed to stay on the park. We've also had McCarthy sign a 4-year contract. A big commitment from us, and for one reason or another, it's not yet worked out for him. Certainly, I think he'll get another bite cherry because of the longevity that we've got him for now. But it's not really working, and as you said, Dazza, with Beaton's actually kind of fucked up at the start of the season, but he's doing okay for the cameos that he's doing now. Do you guys, have you already made your mind up, or do you want in January for us to put serious thought into getting a streetwise defensive midfielder? Dazza, continuing with yourself, I know that you raised the question, but do you want us to see investment in that position, or are you kind of happy tinkering about the personnel in the midfield that we've already got?
No, I think our game needs a solid midfielder. I'm not saying Victor Wanyama, but somebody off the Victor Wanyama ilk that can come in and be strong, basically. Do you know what I mean? Roy Keane. Remember when Roy Keane come up and played at Ibrox? You know what I mean? He absolutely controlled it just because he gets stuck into everything.
I can't help but think about Clyde.
So,
unfortunately for Roy Keane.
No, was it that game?
Thanks, it was all.
It was built up to be the homecoming, and it ended up a disaster. But we definitely need
Paddy,
somebody strong.
What's up?
Aye, a strong ilk like a Roy Keane or a Wanyama.
Well,
Paddy, do you want to see serious investment?
The last podcast we did was obviously it was a wee bit of fun because it was international break. I told you that Wanyama's my kind of perfect specimen, defensive midfielder, and I would love somebody that ilk in any team that I was in charge of, and any team that I supported. So I'm not in charge of any teams, and I only support one team. So I'd love a guy like that, and the kind of the anchor man or the midfield general for Celtic, especially if you're going to have guys like Rogic, McGregor, Turnbull. Any one of the three kind of driving on all the time. You need somebody there to help to shield the defence. I don't think we're going to bring in a player like that. I really don't. I said that to you before on another podcast. I don't think that Ange will target a kind of defensive midfielder. I think he's all about the attack. And if the rumours are to be believed, that we're possibly going to sign Daizin Maeda, the Japanese kind of forward come winger, I think that's the type of player that he's going to look at.
Is that the bald guy?
It is, mate. It is the one that I thought you were talking about, Mr. Baldy, for some reason. But no, I think Ange will just stick with the personnel that he's got, like your Soros and Beatons, to play them out of necessity rather than out of choice. James McCarthy as well, sorry, to add into that. I think possibly if he's got, I forgot my. I think if he's going to sign anybody, it might possibly be another left back. But I don't know. I just can't see him get out and actively recruiting like a strong man in midfield when he wants to play so openly.
This full topic, if we just collectively wrote McCarthy off because we all completely forgot about him, didn't even reference him in that role when he's ideal for it, if we can get him fit.
I think he'll get a second bite of the cherry. McGinty, I used a Star Wars analogy a few episodes back, and I felt like an absolute tool for doing it. So I'm going to use another one and try for better. Will it bring balance to the Force if we buy a proper defensive midfielder?
Yes, it actually could. But it needs to be the proper kind of defensive midfielder. I've said plenty of times about how Scott Brown, as a defensive midfielder, was coming far too deep and becoming a third centre back. We don't need that again. We need somebody who's going to be able to sit in midfield and allow McGregor to do what he does best, and then obviously feed up into the attacking play, because that's what this team's all about, is the attacking play. I've been impressed when Beatons came on the last couple of times playing that central midfield role. He's came on late in the game to slow a game down, calm things down, take maybe the sting out of the game, make sure we get over the line, keeping the clean sheet. I think credit to what it's due for Neil Beaton. He's done pretty well in that sense. As Paddy's mentioned there, the boy Maeda, he looks like he's meant to be one of the fastest boys you've ever seen in your life, apparently. His stats for dribbles and speed is unreal in the J League. But we're also... Did
you read his interview?
No, I've not, actually. But apparently we've also been looking at a Brazilian midfielder as well, from what I understand. So perhaps we are seeking some sort of midfield reinforcement if we're not getting McCarthy up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What was it?
The interview it was with Japanese media, and I think, by the way, he's actually the top scorer right now. I think he's got.
After Kyogo
I think he's got about 18 goals in the J League, whereas I think when Kyogo left, he had 16 by that point. But in the interview, he openly admitted that he is not the best player. He said that he's not even a good player at all, but he said that his work ethic and the speed and his physicality are the main attributes that he's had from a very young age, and he's capitalised on that. So he said that he works harder than anyone else to be the top scorer in the J League. He appreciates what he's got, and it's that attitude which has propelled him, and it's now on Celtic's radar. So at first, whenever you hear someone say, I'm not a good player, you're like, no, don't sign him then. But it kind of makes me think of, like, remember Dirk Kuyt? Can't even get the guy's name right. But I was never impressed with his ability for Liverpool, but he was always like one of the first names in the team sheet for Rafa Benitez when they won the bloody Champions League. They got to the final twice in the space of 2 years. Kuyt tried harder than anyone on the park because he probably never had that God-given ability. And this guy is slightly different from Kuyt, but he's got pace, he's got the attitude, he's got that work ethic, and maybe that's exactly what he needs. I wouldn't be scared from his comments.
So if you've not got the ability, you work hard on the rest, then you've not got arrogance then, basically, then?
Pretty much. And we
You're
can
not strutting
definitely
about
always
thinking-
do
you're not
with
strutting
harder
about
workers.
thinking-
Well, I don't care what position it is. See, if you give me a player that's going to give 110%, give me that over a player that's got class ability and is only giving you 50%. Do you know what I mean?
Agree.
Every time. We've seen that too much. We've seen that too many times with players over the years. Do you know what I mean? So
See Edward Odson last season.
nah, for quality and lack of effort. Do you mean?
Aye.
I would agree with you on that one. But anyway, that's for another time.
Very true, very true. He's actually doing well right now for Palace. But guys, I've really enjoyed tonight. Went through a lot of topics actually quicker than I expected. But the night anyway, with the new format that we've got for the podcast and the interaction, which we hope to continue with the people watching, I would encourage people to kind of tune back in. We're going to do a post-match review for the Celtic and Hibs game tomorrow night. So we hope that people can tune in for that as well, get further interaction, and that's what it's all about. So I've really enjoyed it tonight. And again, for YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button, and leave any further comments that you wish, and share the video, please, with your family, friends, fellow Celtic supporters. And of course, we're on Spotify as well, so you can tune into that when you're out walking your dog or whatever. Guys, any comments before we leave tonight?
No,
I'm all podcast spoken out.
I think we're all covered. But aye, listen, just
Nice one.
Just a big thanks to everybody
I've
that's tuned in tonight and left comments. Long may it continue, and hopefully we'll
I've
keep
talked enough
rattling,
shite for a while.
keep rattling at the contents.
Right, cool. Well, Paddy is way off to watch American Pie, and I'm going to watch Return of the Jedi. So, from the Jungle Gyms, been a pleasure. Good night.
Hail, hail.